Evening, dear viewers of Smart 24 TV. We are blessed to have another discussion this evening, and this is the point. Together with us, I'm happy to have been joined by the great men here, the educationists, and alongside me, it's a pleasure to have you, Professor Dr. Alon Kimise, the Dean, Senior Lecturer at Cavendish University. We appreciate for the work you are doing. Please kindly greet the viewers.
Thank you so much. I greet the viewers. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for this invitation, Dr. Joseph.
It's a pleasure to have you. Prof. Lawrence Muganga, the Vice Chancellor at Victoria University. The other week, we had the serious in-depth discussion that dealt with experiential learning. And we continue to serve and deliver, the services that this country needs. And tonight, we'll be looking at the innovation and technology for economic productivity. We do look into this discussion, especially looking at Uganda with the intent on how best our economy can be able to improve. And our question is how best Ugandan economy embraces innovation and technology. Lucky enough, I've been able to come across a document by one of the deputy director of the World Trade Organization, and he's a Chinese by name Ziwu Yi, and he continued to refer the need of digital economy, and basically without it, he refers that a crisis in economic management of nations is impossible. It's a pleasure to have you, Prof, once again. Please kindly greet the viewers and give us again your e-public lecture as usual as we continue to interact with the Ugandans and all other people across the globe.
A very good evening to you, all our incredible viewers. Thank you for tuning in. It's my always a huge pleasure to be on Smart 24 TV, having such constructive discussions that uplift our country. I don't take it lightly to be here, sharing our experiences with the amazing people out there and our country. Dr. Tindiewa, thank you as always, coming up with such insightful topics of discussion, like debate
Yes,
that is really needed in the times we are in right now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So we are moving forward, and to the viewers outside there, these are the experts and who've taken time to invest in searching for knowledge, and basically even such area of which we are concentrating on for discussion. Alongside me, Dr. Alon Kimise. He took his time to study IT, doctorate of philosophy in IT, and we don't want that IT, sir, to remain in the lecture room, but we want you to explore through it as you share with us knowledge, especially in the world we are in. The economies are crumbling. We are now talking about the second digit, and it's not the first time. We've ever had some economic challenges before, which is not only for Uganda. But our aspiration is that we can be a best economy all over the world. I always speak in that language with, whether we call it, with the positive mind that Uganda cannot afford to remain where we are. We cannot only continue to talk about growing cassava and eating cassava the way how we've got it from the soil. And while I was referring to a topic of discussion, innovation and technology for economic productivity, I realized that the global economic experts are calling for the digital economy, and it is cross-cutting to a number of areas. It goes trade, it goes even to agriculture, and here we are with the need for innovation and technology, of which this country has taken keen interest even to have a policy in place. But building on the knowledge and information you have, please, you are welcome. You may share with us.
Okay. I'll say again, good evening, viewers, and thank you again, Dr. Tindiewa, and also my confidant here, Professor Lawrence Muganga, the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University. I'm coming from Faculty of Science and Technology as the Dean, as well as a senior lecturer at Cavendish University, Uganda. As I've alluded, my background that I'm into in the technology, but I would love to approach this by making the viewers understand these concepts, innovation, and then when you talk about technology. Now, I could say innovation is people-driven, okay? Innovation is people-driven, is centered, and what is the outcome of the innovation? We can innovate by having, the outcome can be a product, or it can be a process. We improve the process. And me, I will use a large continuum, not only just focusing on what we are talking about, ICT, digital world, I think it may not be. And then the technology is providing the methods, the principles, the approaches to achieve. Me, I could be changing your variables, the other way around, that technology is influencing what? Is influencing the innovation. Now, to go so extra mile, talking about the economic change. When you talk about economics, definitely you have to talk about value, okay? Increasing value. I don't know economy in which sense, because we talk about economic development and then we talk about economic growth. But now they have been put together in that capacity. So, and still, I would say I will not talk about innovation in terms of ICT alone, but currently in the emerging economies, right now, what is happening, and we have seen, I think, the Chinas, the Asian takes, I think they had for that path of innovation and technology. But today, in the emerging economies, they are focusing at three things. That is ICT, biotech, and then engineering. Those are very important pillars that we have to focus on. But above all, ICT has proved to be an overhead driver, okay? Like, of course, Uganda, as Red also is on that, where we have talked about content development through what Build Uganda, by Uganda, and ICT is one of the main pillars. But then also, there are factors or drivers that we need to understand that can drive innovation and ICT. One of them, like at what we are doing at Cavendish, I think we realized that there is a lack of linkage between the industry and the university. I think just a few days back, I loved the speak of the recent elected President Ruto. I don't know if they have seen that clip. Okay, what he's talking about. The university, in fact, the student should have what? You should produce a student who is able to be employed, or who is able to employ himself or ourselves. I think at Cavendish we have got that. We have the Office of Employability. I think it's vibrant. Maybe next time we should invite here, I think the ED must be in position, Dr. Mutavanura. David Mutavanura, the ED, and then we have Ochan in that office. We are going in that direction, okay, that we don't produce a graduate who is going to cast himself.
A director for
employability. No, it's a director for, executive director for the university, that is Mr. David Mutavanura. Okay. And then Ochan, Mr. Ochan is then the one in charge of employability. I think that will be, we are addressing that. But also we have the innovation that we are talking about. And as I said, it's not aiming at the ICT alone, but also, as I said, we have the biotech through the health science department, okay, concerned with the environment. And then also there is the IT, computer science, software engineering, also these can bridge those gaps. And even we go ahead through the School of Law, there is a faculty of social sciences. So it is a big thing, and by realizing those parameters I've talked about, that innovation is being looked at as what ICT, by biotechnology and also the engineering, the engineering part of it.
Thank you so much. We'll be coming in the next hour, in the next session, where we will link it to economic productivity. And as we look at economic productivity, of course, we know Uganda has the basic pillars that determines how our economy can grow or not grow. We always refer to some of the basics. We know education is important, and this is always a major pillar all over the world. There's nowhere we can have the economic productivity without talking about the human capital development and so forth. And we'll also be able to look at the health sector, because the innovation and technology, we cannot have the population which is growing to produce wealth when we are, shallow or having inability to deal with the improvement of health service delivery, going to the digital. We refer to the health. And also trade and so forth. You find that someone cannot go to China to order for all those commodities, use the current technology. Please, it's a pleasure to have you, Prof. You'll be able to give us those areas, how we can strengthen them, Uganda should embrace them, and we move forward. Prof, you're welcome, and I've already talked about the need of innovation and technology and linking it to the human capital development, but you are not limited the discussion in that dimension. You can explore through in that way.
Once again, thank you, Dr. Joseph, and my colleague, Dr. Kimwese. It's a pleasure to see him again. He's a very good friend of mine.
Thank you.
And I'm going to build from what he has just shared with the viewers to widen this context a little bit bigger. Let's first, for just our understanding and the people watching us tonight, what is innovation in a layman's understanding? In a everyday understanding of innovation. We may just throw out words and say, innovation. It is just as simple as knowing that innovation is a practical solution to a real problem. Now, think about any solution you can come up with to solve a real problem that did not have a solution, then you are an innovator. It's as simple as that. All right? Now, there is a challenge we have as a country and as an African continent. And this is the challenge is that the entire African, if you look at poverty, for example, because whatever is causing us to innovate is to try to uplift our people from the situations they are in right now to a better situation. Now, if you look at the world's poverty levels, the huge concentration, half of the most impoverished people live on the African continent. It goes without saying that they are also, Uganda is also part of the African continent. And if you look at some of the countries, his economic history, you're talking about economic productivity, economic development. If you look at most of Africa, some countries in on the African continent, if you look at their economic, their GDP, for example, their economic productivity and everything, how they were in 1950s, today they are worse, some of them. They are worse. Now, how do we overcome that and trigger productivity as a country? Now, I'll give you different lenses as a person who has studied innovations in different countries.
You have 4 minutes, you can give
us. Who has looked at innovations in different countries, and I also look at it as an educator, right? So if you look at what is happening in different countries and how they managed to escape poverty, all right, and become the countries they are today, is because they stopped thinking about reducing poverty. All right? There is a very stark difference between reducing poverty and prosperity, and creating prosperity. So when you reduce poverty, it doesn't mean that you have reduced pain. It doesn't necessarily mean that suffering is going to really disappear. You have just tried to deal with some symptoms here and there. But if we start tweaking our mindset to think that maybe the most important thing is to create prosperity, now the narrative now changes. So if we create prosperity, if our government now creates, in whatever we are doing today, if we are creating prosperity, it means that once we achieve what we achieve, it will not leave us at a level of just reducing poverty. We are beyond that level. That's how China escaped poverty, right? Now, when you look at us, let me give you a quick example. I'm just going to give you numbers, and maybe for the viewers and people who are seated here, and then you'll tell me which country do you think that is, okay? Now, there is a country that has a rural population of 70%. All right? Rural population, 70%. Income spent on food, 52%. The people's income that is spent on food is 52%. And then the life expectancy of this population in this country is 45 years old.
45
years old. Access to electricity is 10% of the population. And access to secondary school education is 10%. What country do you think this could be?
Oh.
Right? Right? So of course it's a question you can...
I hope it's not Uganda.
So you hope it's not Uganda. But let me tell you, this country is the United States of America in the 1850s and early 1900s.
1850s?
Yes, to early 1900s. Just imagine, those numbers, 10% of their people were accessing secondary school. All right? And 10% of its entire population were the only people able to access electricity. Life expectancy was just 45%. But look at them now. In just those few years.
How did they make it?
How did they make it?
Yeah.
They innovated. All right? They innovated. They did not reduce poverty. They did not fight poverty. They created prosperity through innovation. Now, for us, as a country and Africa, what we do, we think that for us to start innovation, we should first wait for development to arrive. Then it will create a platform for us to start doing what?
Before we go for the commercial break, you have now charged me a bit. How does innovation come? Because you are the one who began the talk and say we don't want to talk about it as if it's an animal.
Yes.
Just in 1 minute, how does innovation come? Then we go for the break, we come
now. How does innovation come? Now, it comes when we start by changing our mindset. That it's not about fighting poverty. It's about creating prosperity. Now, how do you create prosperity? Is identifying problems that coexist with us, and then you start looking for solutions. And now, how do we start bringing those in? I defined for you what innovation is to come up with solutions to real problems. That is the simplistic way of telling every one of us and viewers what innovation is all about. Now, how do you really trigger people's minds to innovate? Now, a good education now comes into play.
Okay, we'll go for the commercial break. Prof, this is wonderful. Problem identification, change of mindset. That's the genesis of innovation. I'm able to articulate it that way. And those who are viewing us, don't go away. It is possible. These whom we refer as whites, the Chinese, the bleached, and so forth, they have the same blood like own. One general who I associated with, is a former retired major general. He said, I don't know what has happened to Africa. We have the same blood. We have everything the same, but we always run after them as if like they are maybe having white blood. No, we can make it, dear viewers. Stay on. Until we meet next session.